Hi, I'm Rag and Bone Man, and I'm great company.
Have you now, because you're in the industry and you're so successful in that place, have you now met some of your heroes? What happens when that?
Yeah.
Because you've done you've toured with Shania Twain, you've done things with Pink. You know, like this is wild, right?
Yeah, it's wild.
So how do you react when you see these people?
I usually say something really stupid.
She'll be like, I really like you.
Yeah. So I probably told this story before, but I met not a musical hero, but I went on, I don't know, it's the first time, maybe the second, that I was on Graham Norton. And it was Denzel Washington.
Oh, yeah.
And Whoopi Goldberg.
Huge.
And like, I'm the biggest fan of Denzel Washington. I've seen everything he's ever made. So that was like, hello, Mr. Washington. Like, I was very, very nervous. But then I was outside Whoopi Goldberg's dressing room, and her security came out and said, she'd really like to say hello to you, if that's all right. And I was like, yeah, of course. So I opened the door and she was like, hey, can I get a hug? And I was like, oh yeah, I like hugs. And in my mind, I'm like, you dickhead. You just said I like hugs to Whoopi Goldberg.
I like
ridiculous.
hugs.
Yeah, I like hugs. You idiot. So, yeah, usually something stupid.
Also, I love the fact that you're just standing outside her room.
Yeah, just waiting.
just waiting for her to come out. It's funny though, because you obviously had this confidence as well as a kid, even though you were having a tricky time at school and that was going on. And maybe home life, I don't know, if it feels like if you know, whatever parents love and things like that, you're still going through a divorce, right? So there's things like that going on.
Yeah.
And your sister, and this is amazing of you, your sister has Down syndrome.
Yes.
And you talk about how you went into a care home where you looked after people with Down syndrome and autism, which I want to get onto that, which is amazing. But you still had this confidence that you were going to be a musician. That never left you. And normally when you are introverted or you're having a tricky time, that confidence isn't there. But you were like, no, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
But how do you keep that confidence going? If someone listening right now who maybe wants to be an actor or they want to be a musician or they want to go into the arts and their parents are maybe telling them they can't do it or maybe they're having a tricky time at school, how do you keep that confidence?
Wow, that's an interesting question. I never really thought about it like that. I think you just have to remember why you love that particular thing, whether it's music or acting or whatever. You know, remember the reason you want to do it. Because if you want to become rich, if money's your goal, then do something else, because it will take you a long time to get to that point. Do you know what I mean? If you're trying to make a quick buck, then music's probably not for you. But if you really, really love it and it's in you to do it, and you always hear people say this, it kind of sounds a bit corny, but like I write music and make music because I have to.
What do you mean?
Well, I write lyrics because I have to. They just, like, I have to write that. That's how I get out what's in my head onto paper, and then they become songs.
So it's like vomiting out of you. It's like therapy in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
and if you didn't do that, what would happen, do you think?
I don't know. I have no idea. I'm glad that I am doing it because
really,
yeah.
It's funny. I
think the only other job that I've ever had, other than music, that I've really loved is being a carer.
Really, Rory?
Yeah. Because
do you know how amazing that is?
I remember 2013, 14, when I just got like a publishing deal, but I was still doing care work at the same time because I was like, I don't know whether this is gonna kick off or not, or I'm gonna be able to carry this on that much longer. I remember thinking to myself, like, if this doesn't get to that point, then I'm still quite happy doing this and doing the pub gigs and stuff on the side, because that's kind of where I was at the time. I was like doing smallish kind of pub gigs here and there, the odd slightly bigger gig, and I had some hip hop stuff going on with a little independent label, and so between the care work and that, it was all right. But I just remember I wouldn't be that pissed off if I still had to do this. Do you know what I mean?
Wow, that's amazing. What is it about the care home that was so special?
Well, I ended up looking after some friends of my mum's had a son and daughter who were both Down syndrome, and they didn't have a carer at the time. I think they'd been through having different carers and stuff, and it didn't really work out. And then I think they just approached me and said, would you have you ever thought about doing that job? Because they knew Lucy was my sister, and they knew each other. So that's basically how I started doing it. I started working for the parents, looking after their two children. And then from there, I kind of got, I looked after another lad who had Asperger's syndrome, and another guy who's Down syndrome who was a bit older. So I kind of had different people that I was looking after on different days of the week, and it was just a really fun job.
Really?
Yeah, super, super fun. Like challenging at times.
Teach me, what do you learn, and what is the challenging times?
I grew up with a lot of people with Down syndrome, and that part of it was not difficult for me, because I'll be honest, my job most of the time was driving with them in the car listening to Disney songs.
Amazing.
Most of the time, that was my job. I mean, getting them ready to go to their clubs or college or stuff like that, whatever they were doing. But yeah, the majority of my time was like singing Disney songs with them in the car. It's not that difficult, but it's fun. And then I looked after people with Asperger's syndrome, and that's a bit more tricky, because like socially it's totally different, and it's basically just about learning someone else's completely different way of thinking. So I used to go to work sometimes, and the lad that I was looking after wouldn't be particularly nice to me that day, but you have to understand that that's just, they don't mean it. That's just their way of thinking. And I come in one day and I remember the lad that I looked after be it. You put on weight. And I was like, oh, thanks, cheers, mate. Do you want a cup of tea? And I'd go make him a cup of tea, and you can't be offended at those kinds of things.
Right, that's amazing.
Yeah. But it's a great job.
They always say that there are two levels of happiness. Okay, the lower level and the higher level.
Yeah.
The lower level is fame, wealth, power, all the things you would think you want to achieve. And when you get to the top of that mountain, it doesn't make you happy. And actually the other mountain is about love, respect, looking after people, doing something with real purpose. Yeah. And you've actually had that almost before you reached the other success. Yeah. Which makes you realise that actually I'm completely content in this space.
Well, it is what you say is true, because I love my job and I love traveling the world and stuff, and being on stage is amazing. But the happiest I am is when I'm at home, like kicking a football around with my kids. So
it's amazing. What did and look, forgive my naivety. When someone has Down syndrome, a great friend at my school, his sister had Down syndrome.
Yeah.
And I had the pleasure of meeting her twice, and my experiences with her was just the kindness.
Oh yeah.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, beyond kind, it was unbelievable, the kindness. And I think that's what's so amazing, is that you must experience just so much love.
Yeah, absolutely. I FaceTime Lucy quite a lot. So she lives in a assisted living place now with other people with Down syndrome and different disabilities. But and she's got like a couple of best friends in there now, and it's usually like the funniest part of my day is when I'm on FaceTime to them, because they're the best audience, because I can say anything even if it's not funny and they'll just find it hilarious.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
We talk about
or I'll be like, I'm in this really cool place, and they just don't give a shit. I was on like Lake Geneva in this hotel the other day, and I was trying to show Lucy where I was, and I was like, look at this, it's really cool. And she was sitting there with her friend, and then I turned the camera and she was like, we sung Grease songs today. And I was like,
brilliant.
Sick. She didn't give a shit where I was, so
do you know what's so funny, Rory? I sit with you here, right, and I talk, and I mention the success you've had and the albums that you've done and the people that you sung with, and maybe because you're introverted, you slightly close up. And normally that's when people open up because they're just like, oh my God, I want to... You close up. The moment you open up is when I talk about your sister or your family. That totally shows where your priorities are.
Yeah.
You don't... It feels
they
like...
are where they should be.
Yes, I know, but what's... I suppose my point is this, is that when you get fame and you get money and you get success, it's very hard to keep a good head and shoulders.
Yeah.
Because you're given everything and you're taken everywhere. And I definitely...
I got mine a bit later though.
Yeah,
a little bit.
but...
I think I know maybe it would be a different story if I did it when I was 19.
Really? Why? Because...
I don't know, because you're still a kid, basically. And I didn't sign my deal until I was like 28.
Really?
Yeah. So... yeah, I think it would have been different. I'm kind of thankful that I got into it a little bit later.
Do you think that because you signed your deal at 28, because also what happens is there's this whole sort of idea in the music industry that you got to be young, you gotta be young and I don't know, sexy for the audience and all these different things. And when you get to 28, it's funny this world of entertainment.
Yeah.
Is you wouldn't say to a dentist who was like 60 or 50, hey, buddy, your time's getting up. But in our industry, you're a little bit old. So 28 is that almost feels pushing that point.
Yeah, I think like 30 is kind of like a dirty word in the music industry.
Why though?
It's only in this country though, because it's not like that everywhere else.
Really?
We're quite ageist here with everything.
But explain that more. Because...
Well, I don't know why it is. I don't know why it's, like certain radio stations won't play you if you're a certain age.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But like, I don't know. I don't know if it matters that much, but it's when you go to other places, it doesn't feel the same. So, and I don't know why that is. I have no answer for it. But
have you experienced ageism?
Nah, not really. Like I've maybe a little bit here and there, but I kind of like, I hear my music on the radio and I think I'm not far off 40, so I feel quite lucky to be played on those radio stations. And I shouldn't really feel like, I'm lucky to be on there because I'm this age. But I can't. But being English, I think you do a little bit.
When you first started performing, I heard that you went to an open mic night.
Yes.
And again, I'm going to go back to the word introverted, and then you suddenly get on stage and you start doing it.
Yeah.
Get out of here, man. How on earth did you bring yourself to go and do that?
Well, I think the answer is probably 3 or 4 beers. And I think I just, it was, so the
talk me through the whole story. I want to hear it.
So the parents of the 2 kids that I looked after, I say kids, they were teenagers with Down syndrome, Laura and Andy, they were their names, and we used to go to open mic with them quite a lot because they were musicians as well, and they played a lot of rootsy kind of country music and blues and stuff, and they knew that I sung. My mum and dad were there, I think, or maybe just my mum, I'm not sure, and because I grew up on that music, I knew the words to all of the songs pretty much.
Yeah.
And they used to have, it was an open mic, but there was like a house band. And they used to play songs by like Muddy Waters and John Lee Hooker and stuff like that. And they were just like, just go and sing. And I was like, no, maybe I'll do it in a little while. But I think maybe 3 or 4 pints later, I was like, fuck it, I'm going to do it. And that the first time that I got a reaction from people, I remember a couple of these old guys coming up to me and being like, fucking hell, that sounds really great. I was like, oh, this is nice. Compliments. And I just, that the feeling of being on stage the first time just gave me that buzz. I was like, I want to do that again. So I went back 2 weeks later when it was on a Sunday, and let's do it again. And then gradually, I used to go to a lot of different open mics and go and play everywhere.
Really?
Yeah.
And was this rapping or was this singing?
This was singing. This was like singing blues and a kind of country and rock and roll and stuff like that.
What was the first?
I did used to go to an open mic in Brighton that was different. It was like it was more focused on rap and hip hop music, and I did that one as well, because I had some friends that were rappers in Brighton, and I used to go up and do a little bit of freestyling. But then also when I sung on stage there, everyone was like, "Rah, didn't know that you sounded like that." So, you know, that's just it was like,
because it was a surprise, because you would rap and then you would sing as well at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
I still think that my rap that I've created is one of the best lyrics. You want to hear it?
Come on.
All right. It's freestyle. You ready for this? I won't do the beginning. All right, maybe I will. Okay. I was on stage and I did it. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Everybody. Oh, God. Oh, God.
Good start. Good start.
God. Just suddenly got a wave of embarrassment. All right, here we go. In front of you this is all. Okay. Everybody just looking at me thinking, is it that bloke from SW3? Yes, it is, and I'm here trying to freestyle rap, and all you're thinking is made in Chelsea twat. Biscuit boy is what they shout at me in the streets, and I'm British, which means I'm shit between the sheets. I'm 5'9", never been to Compton. All I can say, I'm straight out of West Brompton.
Oh, yeah. Compton and West Brompton,
there
right?
There you go, baby.
Whoa.
I'm going to stop that. Shit. What was your
Compton and West Brompton?
What was? Have you got a response?
I couldn't possibly follow that.
Okay. So So I win. All right.
You do. You won the battle.
What was your? When you went on stage and you freestyle, what would you freestyle about?
I don't know. I was not very that good as a rapper, to be honest, especially at that time.
But it's confidence again, man.
It was all about, and to be honest, at that time, it was more about just going and having a few beers and messing about. But then that's when it changed for me, because I never saw the rap part as like, I saw that as just a bit of fun.
Yeah.
But then there was this guy, Tom Hines. He ran Slip Jam, which is like the hip hop open mic, and I remember him approaching me and was like, "It's like, Rory, I didn't like, when you were rapping and that, everyone didn't really take any notice of you because everyone's just doing the same thing." And he was like, "But when you started singing, everyone came up to me and just said, 'Who the fuck is that?'" And then that was stuck in my mind, and I was like, "Okay, well, I should probably just give up the rapping part and then just to focus on that."
Did you know you had a good voice?
Yeah, I only from people's reaction, and I knew that I could sing because I was, in key, and I could sing. I had quite a lot of power in my voice, but I didn't realize that it was like recognizable.
So recognizable, man.
When I first signed with Columbia, and Alison Donald said to me that it didn't matter what, she was like, "Don't worry about what genre your music you're making." She's like, because it really, that's not the part of it that is going to make people love you. She was like, you can sing on whatever genre you want, but people will always recognize your voice. And that was a really important bit of advice, because like I've throughout the last 10 years, I've done loads of different genres, and drum and bass, house music, hip hop, whatever, and like I've not been afraid to discover those new things. So
that's amazing, because normally what happens, you get sort of pigeonholed into a certain genre.
Yeah.
And if you're a country and western singer, that's what you've got to always sing. But actually, because your voice is so recognizable, it means you can have the range to do whatever you want.
It's definitely a freer kind of industry now. You can go and do different genres now, because look at what Post Malone's doing at the moment.
Man,
he's like suddenly gone, I'm going to be a country artist, and he is a country artist.
Yeah.
It's cool like that.
Yeah, that is true. But you got to have the confidence to do that, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what's funny? I'm going to say this again, is that you're coming from an introvert and all these different things, this sort of confidence sort of follows you throughout your life.
I don't necessarily have I'm not a confident person, but I do have confidence in my own abilities, if you know what I'm saying. Like I feel like as a songwriter, I'm quite confident now. as a recording artist, I'm confident. As a performer, I'm confident. It's just, I guess, in everyday life, I'm a bit more quiet.
Were your parents instill that within you? That confidence?
No, I think I had to gain my confidence as I grew up. I definitely was not a confident child. No.
But you said you were always surrounded with love.
Oh man, 100%. Yeah. My mum was a very, very loving mother. Yeah. She was a proper hippie. So
really,
yeah.
Speaking of your mum, I heard that she passed away.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Rory. It's okay, mate. This place is a place for crying as well. I've done it many times. So never be afraid to do that and let it out, man. We can stop if you want to stop.
That's fine.
Do you know, grief hits us.
It's surprising.
It's surprising because we think we've got a lock hold of everything, right?
Yeah. Especially being a parent now and stuff. That it does hit you different. Yeah, 100%.
Here we got some.
I didn't expect to need tissues on the Jamie Lang's podcast.
Yeah, I know. Don't worry one bit. I imagine she must be so proud of you.
Oh man, she was the proudest.
Really?
Oh yeah, for sure. I would go to places in my hometown.
Yeah.
We lived in this quite small town. It was like, I don't know, 20,000 people. In this little East Sussex town, and I would go to certain places, and they didn't know me, but they were like, "Your mum's been in today," and it was like, "Oh yeah," she basically would try to get freebies out of me, and I was like, I found out she'd been into like the butchers, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm Rag and Bone Man's mum," and they would give her discount. So I'm like, oh yeah, it's really sweet, but yeah, she's basically just trying to get a freebie, which bless her.
Do you know what? It makes me emotional because you have such a big heart.
Yeah.
And you have all this love to give, and family is so important to you. And now that you're a dad, man, it's just. I've always been for so long scared about having kids.
I still have that. I'd like to not worry about them sometimes.
Yeah.
Because it's the world's a
scary place.
A scary place for them to grow up. But at the same time, you'll never experience the same love as you do when you have children.
Is it amazing?
Yeah, bruv. Don't be scared. I can see it in your eyes.
Yeah, can you see it? Yeah. So how bad were you in school?
Yeah, terrible.
I heard you got expelled.
I did. I got expelled from my first school.
Okay.
I got bullied really badly in year 7, and then one day I'd had enough, and someone poked the bear too much, and got a bit physical, and then they said, "You're not allowed back at the school." So then my mum said, "You've got to go and live with your dad." So I went to live with my dad, and I went to school where he lived, which was in like Great Yarmouth, which is like a horrible seaside town, and I went to this shitty school there for about a year. To apparently teach me a lesson, but I think it just made me worse. Yeah. And then I came back to live with my mum. I went to another secondary school.
Was that hard jumping between the two?
Not really. I just don't think I was ever really interested in school, to be honest. There was nothing there that really sparked my imagination. Not much.
It's funny though with school though, especially with kids can be tough.
Yeah.
And it's hard. And when you're in the thick of it and kids can be mean, you sometimes feel like there's just no escape.
Yeah.
And that's really hard.
Sometimes. Well, I looked very different to everybody else at school. I was like that much taller than everybody else. You know, I was a big lad, and it's, you know, I was the butt of a lot of people's jokes. But then I sort of gained quite a thick skin, and then basically befriended the two really tough kids at school, and then I was all right. Because although I was a massive lad at school, I wasn't very tough. I was quite sensitive.
I think we're all kind of sensitive underneath it all, man. And I think with guys, it takes much longer for us to let our vulnerability out. Yeah. That's definitely with me. I realized that for so long. I just, my parents divorced when they were younger as well, and I just kept everything in for so long, and I just never spoke about anything. And then as I got older, I could feel like cracks and something, and I was like, well, what's this? Because I'd masked it for so long. And actually, when you release it all, it becomes much better, I think. Yeah, I think
that's what we've got to teach the next generation of kids.
100%, man.
Yeah.
Did you keep everything in as well?
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm an 80s kid, and we're still, there's still a knock-on effect from our parents, and the way that they were brought up. So I think gradually it's getting better every generation. And I tell my kids all the time, like, there's nothing that you can't talk about with us.
Again, I hope I'm not getting too bad. How bad was the bullying at some points?
I mean, it was for the first couple of years at school, I think, until I got a little bit of confidence. Do you know what I mean? Those first couple of years at secondary school are a bit tough.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I'm not very extrovert. I'm a bit, and I think the more you are like that, the more people poke at you a little bit. But then I had this great mate at school, his name was Damien Clark. Everyone was scared of him. Everyone. He just had these proper mean eyes, and he just like, don't fuck with me kind of kid. Yeah. And he became my best mate.
Damien Clark.
Yeah. So basically, after about year 9, I was good.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you still friends with Damien?
Yeah, I seen him a little while ago.
Did you really?
Yeah.
When you're having that tough time at school, and then you come back and you start playing music, and is that your escape? Is that the place where you can come to and you can kind of forget what the world's going on around you?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that when we're younger, and you can't escape from things, and you're finding it tough, when you find that outlet, whatever it is, whether it's music or sport or something like that, that's just the best thing in the entire world that can save us from stuff.
Mine was always just, I mean, my favourite album on my cassette player, headphones on, that was me. Do you know what I mean?
What were you listening to?
At school, I think the Fugees, the Score album, Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction. Mm-hmm. A weird mix of music, actually, because, like, I don't know what it's like now for kids, but when I was at school, it was like the sort of towny kids, the chavvy kids, which was us, the kind of skater kids that were into kind of metal and grunge and stuff like that. And then I guess the kind of studious types, which I don't know what music they were into. I kind of liked everything. I was mates with everyone. Do you know what I mean? So I liked a bit of metal, and I liked Nirvana and stuff like that. Yeah. And then also I really liked pop music as well. So I was kind of like on the sly. I'll be at home going, actually, I quite like Backstreet Boys. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And then my mates who loved like hip-hop.
I Want It That Way is still the greatest,
mate.
It's
amazing.
It's fucking
amazing. Hands up. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's hilarious. When I interviewed Rylan, he said that the music that we listen to in our teens is the one that we always remember and always love, and that always stays with us forever. Yeah. Like Avril Lavigne will stay with me forever.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I want to hear about your new album, because we were listening to the tracks upstairs. Yeah. Man, it feels good. It feels good.
Do you know what? I didn't set out to make, like, I'm going to make a happy album, but I knew that I wanted to make something that uplifted people. And
you should have seen us all upstairs.
Yeah.
And then we looked outside, and then we saw you outside. It was quite weird. Like, it's an experience.
We're just standing outside in the rain smoking a roll up.
While we're listening to
do you know what? I feel back to the Britishness. I do actually feel very proud of this album.
There we go.
Yeah, I do feel very proud.
Why?
Of it. Because, well, I don't know why I'm like this, but when I've made records before, I've made it, and then I obviously play it live, but I never listen back to it. Once it's done, and I put it out there, and it's like it becomes everybody else's that listens to it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, this record just feels different, and for some reason I've been all right with hearing it back, and I hear the songs, and I'm like, no, I actually wouldn't do anything different this time, because I've been very critical of myself in the past, and I listen to it back and I think, fuck, I would have sung that different, or I would have done this, or that lyric doesn't make that much sense in that. But this time I didn't feel that, so, and I don't know why. But yeah, I do really love this album, and I do think it's really good.
Why did you want to make a happy album?
It wasn't like a happy album, but it came from this. I think I've been on stage a few times and had this feeling of like, fucking hell, I write some really, really depressing songs. and I sing in this song, Skin, and looking out at the audience, and there's like 3 or 4 women at the front all just crying. I was like, oh, fucking hell, that's depressing. And like this and then I had this one song called The Right Way that I'd written when I went out to Nashville, and I worked with this guy, Jamie Liddell, who's a great producer. And we've written this one song, and it didn't make it on my last record because of the way it sounded. It's very like sample based, sounds kind of 90s hip hop, kind of neo soul sounding, and it wouldn't have made sense on the last record at all, because it was like a guitar record kind of thing. But it got around to me thinking about this, making this new record, and I played the song, and I was like, this is the sound that I would like the record to be, you know, this kind of very like sunshiny, kind of uplifting feeling record.
Have you been able to perform any of it yet to people?
I played like 2 songs.
That's it?
I put 2 songs in my set for this summer.
Yeah. Reaction?
Yeah, great. So we got this new song coming out called Rush of Blood, which is like, it's the one song that everybody collectively, like my family, people that work on my crew, you know, even like the roadies that are into like rock music, everyone's loved it. You know, in our sound checks and in rehearsals and stuff, they've been like, this one's the one. And I was like, we have to kind of like take a little bit of that. And so we were like, we're going to make this one the next record that comes out. And it's been really fun to play live, because it's for me very upbeat. I don't do like up tempo songs that much, but this one is particularly fun to play.
Do you think there's a correlation between the time in your life at the moment and the fact your album is happy as well? Do you feel like you're in a happy space? I'm
very content. Like, me and Zoe are very happy. The children are very happy. We're in this like, we have a very happy home life and stuff. And you know, I guess I'm one of those writers that's like, all the songs that I write are very much on the plate. They're not. I'm not trying to make you work for the subject. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's right there. So, and I think my music's always represented how I feel at the time.
I look, if I'm prying too much, tell me. But you know, like you said with the last album, you know, you were going through a really shitty time, and a lot of that maybe was due to some heartbreak and things like that.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
How do you deal with heartbreak?
Tequila usually. And then you have to have a word with yourself. And that's how it goes for me.
What's the word? And
then out of that, I just, you know, you meet someone out of when you least expect it.
Yes.
When you least expect it. I pulled into a petrol station one day with my old man.
Yeah.
And Zoe came up to me with a little boy, Jesse, who's now my little boy, and was like, "Oh, it's nice to meet you," blah blah blah. And then it's like 4 years later, we're getting married. So, you know.
Sorry, how charming were you in this petrol station? What the hell? What did you say?
I was quite charming.
What the hell did you say in order to make that work? It's like a meet cute.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Oh, man. Roy, I said to you before that I was super excited about this. Because we saw each other recently at Radio 1's Big Weekend.
Yes.
And I didn't know if you were going to remember me. And I said, we met on a boat.
We did meet on a boat at the BRITs in, I want to say, like 2017, maybe 18.
It was just when the album had just come, your album had come out.
Yeah.
Your album Human, and
I don't think the conversation was much more than like, Brits. There was a lot of alcohol consumed that evening.
Dude, I was wasted. Yeah. And I just went, rock and roll, man! Rock and roll, man! Just shouting at you. And you were like, who is this little prick? Why is he on this boat with me? Dude, that was also just, I feel like that was when you had just exploded onto the scene. That year was just insane, right?
Yeah, it was madness.
Was it insane? Because we were speaking about this before. What's so funny about, especially musicians and success, is that people see like a moment. Let's take it like 2016, 2017, right? Mm-hmm. For some people, that's go, oh my God, like that was just, you came onto the scene then. People forget how much you grafted before that.
When I first started becoming successful, when the song Human sort of blew up, there was a part of me when people were like, so you've just become recent, and I was like, in my mind, I'm like, I wasn't annoyed, but a part of me was like, yeah, but I've been doing this for ages before, but that's not people's fault, because I was very much like an underground artist before then, you know. I was playing festivals for years and stuff, and I had a fan base, but it wasn't
as big
what it is now.
But was that sort of, could you talk about that sort of frustration because you had this fan base and you were playing festivals and you were doing those things? Was it frustrating because you knew that you had this talent, you knew you should be bigger, but like for some reason it was just, you were still this kind of underground artist? Did that frustrate you? No,
I don't think that really did frustrate me. I think I was actually at the time quite happy with where I was, because it was a career, you know. I that was my job. You know, I may not have been earning like great money, but I was living on it. But then at different points in my career, I've had like these sort of stepping stones, and you know, I remember my first sort of big-ish gig in London, and playing like Brixton Electric or Scala or somewhere like that, which is like, you know, maybe like just over 1,000 people, and thinking that was like that I'm there now, you know. And then fast forward to like 2016, 17, and hearing my music all over the world, and then going to play like the Zenith in Paris, which is like 12,000 people, and it's like, wow, this is different. Do you know what I mean? This is a bit different to Scala.
I love how you pitch it like that. You get there, this is a bit different.
Yeah.
Also, that transition is so quick. You're suddenly performing quick in front of 1,000 people, and then suddenly performing in front of 12,000 people. And you know, before you even sat down here, we were speaking about radio and things like that, and you said you're more of an introvert.
Yes.
So how do you? That's challenging, right? That you have to suddenly go on stage in front of 12,000 people, and if you're a bit introverted, how do you become a character? What happens?
I think, and that's sort of why I chose a name that wasn't my own, because I say comfortable, but comfortable is not the right word. With being on stage now, to me, is like second nature, and I don't get nervous. I have like a tiny bit of jitters with the 10 seconds before I go on, but like I feel very comfortable on stage now. But with the rest of my life, that's the bit where I feel uncomfortable with recognition and stuff like that, and being out in crowds of people where people actually know who you are, and our kind of selfie culture nowadays, where it's really hard to get away from, and having a family and children and dealing with that when you're for a day-to-day kind of thing, that's the bit that's difficult. The stage bit isn't difficult, because that's
job. That's
work.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here to do, and that's the bit that I love the most.
Yeah.
But all the rest of it is the difficult part for me, I think.
That's really interesting. You say that because I would say you're really recognizable.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
People feel like they really connect with you in certain ways. So I'm listening to your music, or Sarah's listening to your music, or Fred's listening to your music when they're going through heartbreak, or they're going through excitement, or they're going through these different emotions, and you're the one who's helped them.
Yeah.
And so it's so personal to them. So when they see you, they run up to you and they want to take photos and they want to do that, right?
Yeah, and you know what? It is nice when people tell you those things, but the kind of like the other side of it is people rush over and don't say anything and just shove a phone in your face.
Did a bloke at the Brits on a boat do that to you? Cause
yeah.
Do you remember me look like?
I'm pretty good with it. Like I don't very often say no to people unless I'm with my kids.
Really?
Because then if I'm with my kids, just don't fight with me. Because I'm very protective.
Really?
Yeah. There's not been many. I'm not an angry person at all. But there's been a couple of instances where I think someone put without saying anything.
Yeah.
I was watching. I think I was watching like Simple Minds at a festival, and we were just standing there watching, and a guy just did that with his phone without saying anything, put it right in front of my face, and my just instinct was to just smack it out of his hand. And afterwards, I thought, I really hope I haven't broken his phone, because although that's like an arsehole thing to do, at the same time, I don't want you to have a broken phone.
Oh no, I'm with you, man. I think there's a certain like space that you need to have. You're fine because you're in the industry, and you're on stage and you're performing, and then so when it steps in front of like family, that's when it's really quite tricky. How are you?
So we're kind of like a joined family. So I've got a son, Ruben, who's 6. He's about to be 7. And then when I met my current missus, we're getting married later on this year.
Come on, there we go.
And she had 3 boys already when I met her.
Yeah.
So we're 4 boys at home at the moment, 6, 8, 12, and 14. But the older 2 have become very protective of me when we're out. So Bear will be like, Ross, there's a guy there trying to video you. He's like, do you want me to go and say something? I was like, no, just leave it. It's fine. But like, they're very aware of it, which is kind of nice.
Can I ask a personal question? Because you obviously have your kid Ruben, and then you have the other kids who aren't yours, and you come into a family space like that. How easy is it to sort of become that father figure for other kids?
Really easy, to be honest. They see me as their dad, and it's only been like we've only lived together 3 years ish, something like that. But they know that I've got their back, and you know I do everything for them, like so that's just the way it is.
That must be so special.
Yeah.
Isn't that insane that you can come into someone's lives and have that impact on them, and then you have that influence and that connection with them? That's amazing. How important is family to you?
Also, I realised before I just said current missus, which is an awful way to put someone who you're with. I did not mean to say it like that. My current missus. Well, I can't believe I said that. My wonderful fiance is what I should have said. Christ.
How important is family to you?
It's everything, especially now, especially with the way that work life is fucking mad. Like, it is mad. I think just the travel, the schedule when you're in like album campaign mode kind of thing, and then everything that comes with that, and then having somewhere where you could just close the doors and it's not that anymore. That's why we live where we live, where we have this like really nice place right out in the country where no one is. You know, it's great, and like I need that to go back to when everything else is mental.
Why? Because otherwise it becomes too much almost.
Yeah. Like I could never live in London.
Really?
No, I come here for work all the time, but then I love that I get to go back to somewhere really quiet.
What I find, especially going back to family and kids, right? Because you have your kid who's, you said was 7.
Yeah.
7. So, and when you become a father, not that I'm a father, but this is what I imagine, right? You're learning as you're going, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you basically, first time they shit on you, you're just like, what the hell do I do here?
Yeah.
Like you're basically learning throughout the way. But then suddenly when you become a sort of new dad of teens,
yeah,
how do you even understand that? Because you haven't learned that. So you have to learn a whole new thing.
Yeah, but let's be honest. Up until as men, we're about 25. We're basically teenagers anyway. So it wasn't really that long ago. Yeah. If you think about it like that.
Dude, I'm 35. I still think.
Exactly.
Because you're a tiny bit older than me, not much.
Yeah.
Do you ever get to a point where you go, yeah, I've got it figured out?
No.
Okay, that's nice.
I still look at, when I go to like Gatwick or Heathrow to go onto a flight, no matter how many flights I go on, I still look around for like the appropriate adult.
Looking around for your parents.
What time's our flight? Where's the lounge?
So true.
Do you know what I mean?
Why do we do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't be in control
and that's
of
my tour manager, and he's the same age as me, so, which is weird.
Man, I want to say that I have had an absolute ball with you. Dude, this has been insane. It really has.
It's been really great. I thank you so much for having me on.
Are you kidding me? It's been amazing. The new album.
I just put on the radio voice, but
yeah, dude, I
went like an octave lower.
Rory, we have our last 8 questions. Mm-hmm. You ready for this? Quick fire.
Yeah, okay.
What's a saying or phrase that always makes you smile or cheers you up?
I like the Australian phrase, "We didn't come to fuck spiders."
That's a good one.
It's so good, isn't it?
Best compliment anyone's ever given you?
I played Montreux Jazz Festival the other day, and Sting watched my whole set, and then when I came off stage, he like shook my hand and said that was amazing. So
leave
Sting.
That shit there.
Yeah. That's enough for me.
I'm okay now. What scares you most about yourself?
I tend to spend a bit too much time by myself when I'm on tour, and then when I get home, I find it a bit hard to like integrate back into social situations.
When was the last time you cried, and why?
Just now. My 2 older stepsons said that when Zoe and I get married, they're going to change their names to mine. And I was on tour, and I was very sleep deprived, and I had done like back-to-back shows, and I was like, you can't tell me this information now because I feel too vulnerable when you say it. But yeah, it's beautiful.
Man, that's amazing. What's something you can't let go of?
You grew up in the 80s, right? No, 90s.
88.
Well, 88. Okay, so not far off. When I was a kid, there was an advert on TV for a He-Man sword, right? And in the advert, he did, by the power of Grayskull, and the sword like grew, right? And so it was like a toy. And when I got the toy, it was so fucking disappointing because it was like in the advert, it glowed up, it glowed in the dark, and this thing didn't. And it also was just, you had to do that to it, and it just went a little bit longer. I remember that's the most disappointment I'd had as a kid, is receiving that as a toy.
Rory, I had this game which it was a motorbike, mm-hmm. and you would click it into a thing that looked like 2 handlebars.
I know exactly what you're talking about,
mate.
Yeah,
the fucking advert.
Yeah, when
you let it go, it would do a wheelie.
Yeah,
and it would crash through little logs.
Yeah, that's right.
It was the shittest thing.
It didn't do that.
It didn't do that.
No.
Never forgotten it.
No.
Do you know what? I'm going to talk about my things now. Do you know what? I went and had a haircut when I was 4 years old, and they said, you're so well behaved, you can have a Kit Kat the next time. Went back the next time, didn't get a Kit Kat. Don't forget that shit. What's something that you'd be embarrassed for people to know you like or want?
Do you know what I've really got into recently? Is Project Runway. What? It's good.
I'm sure I've seen it. Is it really good? It's just so unexpected. Yeah. That was so unexpected.
It's so clever.
What do you like about it?
I don't sleep very good, and sometimes when I go downstairs, there's a limited amount of things on TV, and sometimes when I switch it on, it's like the first thing that I see. And I started watching it, and I was like, this is really fucking good. It's really fucking good. I like it.
Jemima just wrote, it's really good.
Yeah. Isn't it? Yeah. So.
What turns you off?
Fucking rudeness. When you spend a lot of time on flights, you come across a lot of rude people. And
in what way?
I experience this a lot, where just people are talking to like flight attendants and stuff like that, and the way people get spoken to, I don't think there's no reason to be rude to somebody.
I love that, man. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Just be polite.
Yeah. It's easy to be nice to people. It's much harder to be a dickhead.
I completely agree with you. I be nice to everyone on the way up. You never know who you meet on the way down. 100%.
Yes, sir.
What turns you on?
I don't think I'm allowed to say.
Project Runway, whatever it is.
Project Runway.
We can just leave it there.
Good food.
Yeah, there you go.
Good restaurants.
What do you like most about yourself?
I think I want the best for everybody that I love, and that's in my family. Whether it's like work, family, or friends and stuff, or everybody. I always try to do the best by people.
I love that, man. And bonus one, favorite swear word.
Oh, I know it's not really a swear, but I really like twat. Do you know what I mean? It's just you twat. It just sounds really good, doesn't it?
It's also the aggression when you say it.
Yeah, twat.
Rory, I was super excited for this. Thank you. I want everyone to go and listen to your album. I want you to listen to all of your music.
Thanks,
I want to see you. I had the pleasure of seeing you live. It is one of the greatest experiences ever. Go and see everything that you do, because not only are you just an incredible musician, you're a wonderful person.
Thank you so much, mate.
Man, thank you so much for coming on Great Company. I appreciate it. Thanks, buddy. That was amazing. Oh, man.